Bill Milliken was an American hero in my estimation. He was a war hero, and he flew 45 missions as a gunner in Europe in a B-24. Many close calls. He almost died a couple times in some bad accidents with the airplanes. He said he stated the one time, I believe, that he wouldn't really want to have to do war again, but he really wouldn't have missed it either, because it made him believe that he would not be afraid of anything after that. He tried to do as much good as he could in his life. Well, an interesting thing about one of the missions is that during a raid they were doing a bombing run in Europe, and there were a bunch of German Messerschmitt planes attacking their airplane. He looked out and he saw another group of airplanes coming up, and it happened to be a bunch of P-51s, but they were the Tuskegee Airmen, which was the all-black unit flying P-51s. Those airplanes diverted the Germans and saved Milliken's airplane, basically. The interesting thing is that Mayor Young was part of the Tuskegee Air Group. He didn't fly, apparently, but he was part of that group. And that was an immediate relationship. It caused an immediate relationship between the two, which really helped Detroit and the governor in many ways.
William G. Millken, Michigan's longest-serving governor, was known for his environmental stewardship and civility in politics. During his tenure in office, from 1969 until 1983, Millken lent critical support for Michigan's beverage container deposit law, expanded state funding for recreation and parks programs in Detroit, and signed the state's landmark Environmental Protection Act, as well as laws to protect sand dunes, control hazardous waste, and promote recycling. Millken passed away in October 2019 in his native and beloved Traverse City. He was preceded by his wife Helen, herself a champion of environmental stewardship and the women's rights movement. A memorial service in celebration of Governor Millken will be held on August 6 at the Interlochen Center for the Arts. In anticipation of the event, Flow is publishing a series of short video interviews with those who knew the governor and Helen well. Look for those videos in the coming days.
Yeah, my name's Marc Oberschulte, and I live in Empire, Michigan. Worked with Governor Millken in his administration for about 3 years, from 1975 to 1979. There's so many things that the governor did relating to conservation and in the environment in the state of Michigan through his tenure. Of course, he was the longest serving governor in the state, and that made him special. He was able to get a lot of things done related to that. A couple items would be, that I remember distinctly, was the bottle bill that was enacted. The governor's office worked closely with the office of the governor of Oregon. I think that was the first state that did something like that. The governor essentially vetoed the U.S. government's effort to place a nuclear waste dump in northeast Michigan. He did that at a meeting in Upper Peninsula during an Upper Peninsula tour. He pretty much put the brakes to the project with the help of a bipartisan group of people, but including President Ford, who was in office at that time. They had a close relationship, and that was an important step that was taken to keep something like that from happening. He was involved with many other environmental issues, and I know this, that he was inducted in the MUCC, Michigan United Conservation Club. He was in the Hall of Fame, Lifetime Hall of Fame, he and Helen Millken, which is an indication of his deep commitment to the environment of Michigan. Governor Millken was a unique governor and leader, especially when we think of what's happening now nationally and state. Governor Millken was able to work with both sides of the aisle. Democrats and Republicans. He worked closely with both sides. He had what they called in the governor's office the Quadrant Committee. I don't know if you folks remember that, but that was the leadership of the majority and minority of both sides of the legislature, Senate and House of Representatives. He would meet with them monthly. They would discuss issues that were important to the state. They would find ways they could agree on things they had to disagree on. But through that committee and the good efforts of the governor and his ability to work with Democrats and Republicans alike, many bills were passed that way. He was able to work with Coleman Young, the mayor of Detroit. I was just proud to have the honor to work for this man in his administration. I never saw him get angry. He was always a cool cucumber. He knew how to handle tough issues. I remember some friends of mine that worked with other politicians complained about how they'd get, bawled out and screamed at by their boss. Never happened with Bill Milliken. He was a nice man, terrific guy, nice, has had empathy for other people on his staff he had empathy for. I can't say enough about him.